Welcome back. Now we're going to discuss data types. We will discuss each of these data types in detail in their own dedicated lecture. For now, let's have a quick glance at all of them. First data type I'm going to discuss is a string. And before we get started, you should know that I have made another file. Not a big deal. You can make new files with the .py extension and get started. So let's discuss string. Well, strings can be stored in double quotations or single quotations. For example, if I want to store my nickname and call it John, sure, I always use that name. With double quotations, I can use double quotations to store a string, which is just a group of characters repeating again. And I can also use a single quotation with LA wrapped around single quotations. It's very simple. We're going to discuss this in detail in the next coming videos or lectures. Now let's talk about numbers. Numbers are pretty simple, you know very well. Numbers can be, decimal, integer, or complex. We're not going to discuss complex in detail, but we will discuss decimal and integer. Well, they're pretty similar, just decimal has a point and age, and the integer doesn't. So let's say I talk about age. Age is an integer, right? 55 is my age. Cool. Well, that's an integer, and I can also store a float value, 91.2. Now Python does this for you. It doesn't, you don't have to declare it, of course, but in other languages you have to declare. Those are called static languages, and Python is called a dynamic language because you don't have to declare. The Python compiler, it figures it out itself what value, what data type you are referring to. You can also store anything else. I mean, you can store productivity score of someone, for example, well, 0.97 of this person. Now let's talk about another interesting data type called a list. A list is very interesting. It's just a group of similar data. They're also called arrays in other languages, and in this language too. If someone says that, don't be surprised. If you see the name used interchangeably, just don't worry about it. Now let's take some examples. Let's take an example of weights, right? I stored one weight here. I can store many weights. How cool is that? I have to use these scare brackets, of course, and this equal sign, of course, will store all that in this weights variable. But these brackets are gonna contain the stuff that I want to store. For example, 55. I can store another weight here by a comma. Remember this. This is used to tell you that, oh, there's another value coming. Then I can store 65, whatever, 54, 57, 77. Remember, don't end with a comma. Comma means that there's another value there. That's all it means. And we're going to go into detail with weights and with lists. With lists, we're going to go into detail. Don't worry about it if you don't understand it. Now let's talk about another very interesting data type called a dictionary. A dictionary is, well, you stored a similar type of data here. What if I want to store, what if I want to show, like, what if a data type is not a string or a number? It's complicated. For example, a bag. A bag could contain a pencil, a bag could contain stationery, books, clothes, a lot of stuff. Let me give you an example. Then I'll explain you how to write a dictionary. For example, a book has a title, How to Be Awesome. Now remember that here, this is called a key and this is a pair. This is a key value pair. This, you can think of it like a variable, and there is a colon here, not an equal sign. Don't make this mistake. Everyone makes this mistake in the beginning, but don't worry. This is called a key and this is called a value. This key can be represented with the single quotation mark too. It's much like a string, but don't write it as a variable like this. You cannot do that. You can never do that. I can store author name with a single quotation mark, and that's pretty awesome. John Doe. I can store anything here which I can store in this variable. I can store a number, for example, let's say year 2017, 2018, sure. You can talk about date published, and date published can be anything, 23/9/2019, cool, 2018. And you can talk about other stuff here like ISBN or whatever that is. It's very simple. We will talk about how to access these things. Right now, well, if you print this, if you print a book, it will show you what a book is. Just similarly, Python data types.py. You see, it'll show you what it is. Now I can also access all these variables, and we will discuss that in each video. Don't worry about it yet. You can print a book, you can print weights. Pretty cool stuff. I think you should be very glad right now. This is awesome. Like, first time when you see this, you're very happy that, oh, we can actually represent information like this. Now let me give you an exercise. Let me give you something fun. Try it yourself, and again, whenever you want to check it, just print it. Python will take care of it. It'll print you everything that you need. Now with exercise, well, create a list of your favorite fruits. What are your favorite fruits? Just create a list of them. A list is this is the list, or an array. You can call it an array, but we will call it list. And another thing, just create a dictionary of your favorite product. For example, if it's a car, well, what is its speed? What is its maximum speed? What is its gas limit? Is it electric? What is its maximum mile that it can go for, and other relevant stuff, whatever that is relevant. Now I have shown you some very interesting stuff, but this is just scratching the surface. We're gonna study each of these data types in detail. How can we access this? Well, how is this useful? You will see all of that in the upcoming videos, which will be all explaining these data types. So I will see you then, and make sure to complete the exercise.